In coaching days, Preston was an important centre for both passenger and postal traffic. This importance continued into the railway age, both as a major junction and as a stopping point about halfway between London and Glasgow. The first lines in Preston were those of the Lancaster Canal Tram Road, a horse-drawn line connecting two parts of the Lancaster Canal. It opened in 1805 but never carried passengers and was never converted to steam. It ceased operating in Preston in 1862. The first steam-hauled passenger railway in Preston was the North Union Railway. On the 31st of October 1838, it opened its line from Wigan to a station on the site of the present-day Preston Station. This immediately linked the towns to London, Birmingham, Liverpool and Manchester. Each subsequent line was built by a different company. Rivalry often prevented any cooperation over shared facilities, so almost every railway line into Preston used its own station. It was not until 1900 that all lines into Preston were shared a single station, by which time all the companies had been taken over by one or both or just two companies. The second passenger railway into Preston was the Preston and Longridge Railway, which opened as another horse-drawn tramway on the 1st of May 1840 to a terminus in Deepdale Street. It was converted to steam in 1848 but did not run its trains into North Union Station until 1885. The Lancaster and Preston Junction Railway was the third line, which opened on the 25th of June 1840, initially used in the North Union Station. However, relations between the NUR and the L&PJR soured, and from the 1st of January 1842 most trains used instead Maxwell House Railway Station, a short distance to the north of the North Union Station. A few trains passed through, but the NUR charged a toll of 6d per passenger. Most passengers refused to pay, preferring to alight at Maxwell House and walk the 200 yards or 200 metres into North Union Station, but the NUR refused to hold the train to allow the passengers to walk and rebook. The NUR advised northbound passengers to travel by the Lancaster Canal rather than the L&PJR. On the 1st of January 1844, Maxwell Station came into the possession of NUR, and the lack of agreement led to several weeks of hapless passengers which had to alight on the trackside at the nearby Dock Street, which is off Pitt Street. Lancaster trains were able to use the North Union Station for the 12th of February. Preston's fourth railway was the Preston and Wyre Joint Railway to Fleetwood, opening just a few weeks after the L&PJR on the 16th of July 1840 to its own terminus in Moorlands in Leighton Street. After the 12th of February 1844, regular Preston and Wyre trains used the North Union Station along with the L&PJR, although Moorland stations continued to be used for excursions for some decades. The fifth company to run trains into Preston was the Bolton and Preston Railway from the 22nd of June 1843. Its line joined North Union at Uxton, 5.5 miles south of Preston, but the company used Maxwell House Railway Station instead of the North Union's. However, the NUR charged 1 shilling per passenger to P&R trains over its tracks, and eventually the BPR resorted to ferrying its passengers by road between Uxton and Preston. The BPR was driven into submission and was not taken over by the NUR until the 1st of January 1844. The sixth line into Preston was that of the Preston and Blackburn Railway, which opened on the 1st of June 1846, joining the North Union line immediately south of Farringdon Street. The railway company was absorbed into the East Lancashire Railway on the 3rd of August 1846. Once again, the NUR charged high tolls for its use of its line, which led to the ELR to build its own line into Preston. The line was initially opposed by Preston Corporation, but was eventually permitted on the condition that the embankment north of the Ribble be ornamentally laid out so that a passenger pedestrian path be provided over the river bridge. The line ran into new platforms built on the east side of North Union Station, which were managed and staffed by the ELR, and which had their own booking hall and entrance in Butler Street. The new platforms were effectively a separate station, and the new line opened on the 2nd of September 1850. The seventh line into Preston was the North Union's own Victoria Quay branch to Victoria Quay on the River Ribble, which later extended to Preston Docks in 1882, which now connects the Heritage to Ribble Steam Railway. The single-track goods line opened on October of 1846 from a south-facing junction immediately south of Preston Station, through a tight curve into a tunnel of a gradient in 1:29, emerging north into Fishgate Hill near the riverside. The 8th line to Preston was the Liverpool-Ormskirk and Preston Railway, owned by the ELR and connected to the line from Blackburn. It opened on the 2nd of April 1848. From 1891, its train used a new curve at Farringdon to enter Preston via the North Union Line. The 9th and final line into Preston was the West Lancashire Railway from Southport. The railway arrived into Preston on the 16th of September 1882, by which time all the town's railway lines were connected by the London and North Western Railway, or the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway, or jointly by both. This independent WLR built its own Fishgate Hill station. It also built a connecting line to the former ELR, then LYR line, via which the majority of the Southport to Preston trains continued to Blackburn. This railway was not a success, and on the 1st of July 1897 it was taken over by the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. This resulted in the diversion of all its passenger service to use the East Lancashire platforms on Preston from the 16th of July 1900. The network of these lines south of Preston allowed greater flexibility in the routing of trains. A train approaching the town from any of the lines south, except the WLR from Southport, could be routed to the station either via the North Union or East Lancashire line. It was even possible for trains from the north to perform an effective U-turn, a feat sometimes carried out by the trains between Scotland and Blackpool, which had otherwise had to have reversed. When the station first opened in 1838 by the North Union Railway, the line to the north of the station passed through a tunnel under the west end of Fishergate. It was on a slope so steep that sometimes station staff had to push trains out of the station. By 1846, the station was already very busy, handling trains from Wigan and the south, Bolton, Fleetwood, Blackpool, Lancaster and the north, and Blackburn. There were no footbridges. Passengers had to cross the lines escorted by station staff. North of the station was a network of goods lines around the end of the Lancaster Canal. The coal yards and the sidings here continued to be operated long after the canal had fallen into commercial disuse. The station's first expansion came in 1850, when the new East Lancashire line used the platform staffed and managed by the East Lancashire Railway, with their own entrance and booking office in Butler Street. From 1863, trains between London and Scotland, having no dining cars, were scheduled to allow 20 minutes at Preston for passengers to eat in the station's dining room. The pressure on catering staff was increased when northbound and southbound trains would often arrive at the same time. The condition of the station deteriorated to the extent on the 18th of August 1866, part of the roof of the East Lancashire side collapsed, injuring 3 people, one seriously. By then, 150 trains a day passed through the train station. Eventually, the station was rebuilt at a cost of £250,000, opening on the July of 1880, and with 7 through platforms and 4 bay platforms. At this time, both the Ribble Bridge and the line as far as Uxton were widened from 2 to 4 tracks. A striking feature of the new station was its long and wide central island platform, 1,225 feet long and 110 feet wide. It was larger than any of the London terminal station platforms, the longest being King's Cross at 990 feet long. Along the centre of the platform were refreshment rooms, office and waiting rooms. A booking hall at the north end of the station was accessed from the middle by a new bridge carrying Fishergate over the railway. A broad ramp led down the main island platform, with footbridges to smaller platforms on either side. Further south, the platforms were also linked by a passenger subway and a separate subway for luggage, accessed via hoists. At the south end of the main platform, a footbridge led to the nearby Park Hotel, a joint London, Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway and London North Western Railway property, opened in 1883. On the 30th of January 1877, a heavy storm blew the roof completely off the station, but a more serious accident occurred on the 13th of July 1896, when a Euston to Glasgow train passed through the station at an estimated 45 miles an hour, despite the 10-mile-an-hour limit. It was derailed on a tight curve at the north end of the station, killing 1 person. As a result of this, the tracks were realigned. Charles Street, to the west of the station, was demolished, as were more houses north of the station. northwest of the station. Fishergate Bridge was extended on the west side, and this allowed more tracks and platforms to be built on the west side of the station with gentler curves. The Ribble Bridge was widened again from 4 to 6 tracks, and these enlargements were completed by 1903. The east side of the station was also extended by 1913. A number of lines around Preston have since closed, including the Longridge line in 1930 and the West Lancashire line in 1964. The Old Island platforms 1 and 2 were closed in 1970, together with the goods line to the west of the station. It was then extended northwards to allow platform 2 to become a dedicated parcels platform. The line towards Liverpool was truncated and singled in the summer of 1970, with Preston services terminated at Ormskirk. This was followed by the closure of the East Lancashire Railway between Preston and Bamber Bridge via its original direct route. In April of 1972, the East Lancashire platforms 10 and 13 were demolished, along with the Butler Street goods yard. Their sites now covered by car parks for the station and the adjacent Fishergate shopping centre, which was built in the 1980s, partly over the north end of the former goods yard. The remaining platforms 3 to 9 were all numbered 1 through 7. So we get started here at Preston with 195-107, departing 5 minutes late with the 12:10 northern service of Barrow-in-Furness to Manchester Airport via Bolton. Terminating with a northern service off of Ormskirk is 150-128. Next up, 2 departures, 390-005, working the 12:18 Avanti West Coast service from Blackpool North to London Euston via Birmingham New Street. Next to arrive is 331-001 and 331-004, with the 12:27 northern service from Manchester Airport to Blackpool North. Whilst going in the opposite direction is 331-029 and 331-002, with the 12:21 northern service from Blackpool North to Manchester Airport via Bolton. Next up is 150-128, with the 12:24 northern service to Colne. Running about 68 minutes early at 66-607 again, working 6H51 from Hardledon Quarry to Tunstead Sidings. Next in to arrive is 195-128, with the 12:46 northern service from Manchester Airport to Windermere. Next up, it's Filthy Bugger 319375, working the 12:30 Northern service from Blackpool North to Liverpool Lime Street via St Helens Central. Whilst coming the other way is another Filthy Bugger 319379 with the 12:35 Northern service from Liverpool Lime Street to Blackpool North. Right at his heels is 195101 with the 12:40 Northern service from York to Blackpool North. Whilst going in the other direction is 195130, working the 12:44 Northern service from Blackpool North to York via Bradford Interchange. Next up for departure is 397007 with the 12:47 Transpennine Express service from Edinburgh Waverley to Manchester Airport via Bolton. Next up sees the departure of 331014 and 331024 with the 12:53 Northern service from Blackpool North to Manchester Airport via Bolton. Whilst in the opposite direction is 331017 with the 1300 Northern service from Manchester Airport to Blackpool North. Next up for Transpennine Express is 802219, working the 12:59 Transpennine Express service from Manchester Airport to Edinburgh Waverley. Next into the station, running 22 minutes late, is 390020 with the 12:41 Avanti West Coast service from London Euston to Glasgow Central. Arriving to terminate with a Northern Rail service off Colne is 156402. Next up for Avanti West Coast is 390.039, running 6 minutes late with 13.01 Avanti West Coast service from Glasgow Central to London Euston. Next out for departure is 156.402. All turned around ready to go with the 13.10 Northern service to Ormskirk. Arriving 23 minutes late is 390.129 with the 12.53 Avanti West Coast service from London Euston to Glasgow Central. Whilst appearing on the far side is 195.104 with the 13.10 Northern service of Barrow-in-Furness to Manchester Airport via Bolton. And here comes our train in the form of 156.461. We're arriving to terminate with a Northern service off Ormskirk. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed what you saw, click on the 2 videos here at the end screen. Helps out the channel. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you are new and got this far. And we'll see you all in the next video, folks, wherever that may take us. We'll see you then, folks.